had a lot of systems in place, a lot of mix of systems in place, and we wanted to try to consolidate. So we basically just started with the old blueprints, and we sat down, my engineering team and I sat down, and we said, okay, let's look at the space, where we are today, and how can we move it around to make it more efficient, so we can improve some sight lines and make the spaces more usable. We had studios that were really big, studios that were really small, and we wanted to try to just make everything more usable and feel like it's a studio that you should be in, instead of like you were in a stadium and just happened to have a console in the corner.
Wheatstone was one of the first vendors brought in, even far before we were, and that's really how so much of the design was done ahead of time.
There's a lot of thought and detail that went into everything from headphone placement, console placement, speaker placement, right down to the microphone. And I think at the end of the day, this has been a successful project, and I think the people of Chicago and the people that listen to the syndicated shows are going to notice a significant improvements.
By the time we got involved, the equipment list was basically finalized. We were able to help make a few additions primarily in software, but past that, the system was so well put together and thought out that we weren't having to make changes on the fly.
Navy Pier itself is its own thing to deal with when you're doing construction out here. So every piece of material for the entire project came up a lull and was placed on this platform and brought inside and then brought throughout the space.
Yeah, it's not your conventional loading, it's not an elevator, it's nothing like that. It's pretty specialized.
Mike Doris, Brian Sapp have all had a long history with this facility in several different stages of our lives, and so being able to go from the terminal room, which used to be a bit touchy to work in, a lot of legacy wiring and equipment, to now seeing it almost completely empty, and the new TOC being so simple, and all this is being done in software over very few amount of cables. It's really satisfying.
I'm able to kind of set up and communicate with our Comrexes and our tie lines and stuff straight through the faders, which is really great. There's no separate interface that I have to go through, and making mix minus is really fast and easy. We've even set that up with our DAW system too, so we can do that with Zoom or Google Meets or whatever, and I can communicate with my guests or reporters all straight through the board.
What's fantastic about choosing LXE for the majority of the consoles in the facility is really its customizable features. So in addition to making every button programmable, it has a really fantastic remote control interface. So both talent and producers and engineering staff can come in and not only view exactly what the talent's seeing on the board, down to the meter displays on each individual fader in real time, but also they can control the entire console remotely as well. So if somebody calls at 10 o'clock at night, a master control engineer calls and says, hey, I need to get this source on my board. Obviously, we've tried to make it very simple for them to dial up a source, but if they need a little extra help, somebody can just log in and truly either do it for them or show them how, almost as if they were standing there. So having that ability throughout the majority of the studios is really huge, and also makes implementation go a lot faster when we can reuse some of the configuration, reuse some of the code between studios.
We put a blade into the Performance Studio control room, Studio 9, so anything we do in the Performance Studio is available in any studio in the studio core, including intercom. We can talk back and forth. So we could do a live performance, but put it on the air, live, or we could record it and play it back later. We have the functionality to do either or.